Mordecai and Rigby the Blue Jay, and raccoon partygoers of the park. Red and Blue, the alien and normal stick person roommates. They might be different appearance-wise and personality-wise, but they have stuck together and supported each other through the thick, thin, and bizarre. Which is why I am your host, Mrs. Analyst. And this is the first episode of a versus debating series called Cross-Fighting Melee. And it's my job to research on each opponent's skill, ability, feats, and weaknesses to see who'd win this matchup. The Peaceful. Well, usually peaceful park, but these employees that aren't. Well, how do you say? Oh, you're right, regular? Because here is where you'd find Mordecai, a tall blue jay, and then his short raccoon friend Rigby. Mordecai is a blue jay who as a child went through a series of pretty embarrassing moments. Like falling from a high height on stage during a play, and getting a saxophone mouthpiece stuck in his throat. Each of these situations were recorded by his mom, who compiled all these on tape. And not to mention he's really awful with relationships. And there is Rigby, a raccoon who lived with a more beloved brother and an asshole of a father. Both Mordecai and Rigby met when they were toddlers, and ever since became best buds by the time they attended high school, where they ended up blowing up the science lab and getting expelled. Desperate to find a job, Mordecai and Rigby found an ad in a newspaper for groundskeeping jobs at their local park, which required no experience necessary. They were hired on the spot and given a place to stay at the house. They were given a job and a place to stay for free. They could not mess this chance up, right? Well, on the first day, instead of doing work, they played rock, paper, scissors over a useless chair and summoned a portal that sucked up the park. For some reason, Benson didn't just fire him on the spot. Strange giving the red flags this set off. During their years of working at the park, Mordecai and Rigby have found themselves on wild adventures. Lucky for them, despite being slackers, both were prepared most of the time and managed to survive everything that ruined their day. Mordecai is always seen to be much stronger than Rigby, proved whenever the two engaged in a game of punchies. Though not on Skip's or Muscle Man's level, there are several instances where Mordecai possesses well above average strength, as he is strong enough to bash his way through locked doors, break a broom with one punch, and easily rip a shirt. However, his most recent and impressive feat of physical strength is shown when he bashed Death Bear across a room and through a wall in the episode of the same name. The weight of a brown bear depends on factors such as age, sex, and feeding habits. But the average brown bear can grow to be 5 to 8 feet tall and weigh approximately 700 pounds, some weighing up to 1,500 to 2,400 pounds. Being a raccoon, Rigby has enhanced speed, able to outrun all the other park members and outrun or catch up to vehicles. Also taken from real-life raccoons, Rigby is quite sneaky, moving quick enough to steal a keyboard from a wizard and a martial arts page from a kung fu master while they were distracted. Another trait from his real-life counterpart are his sharp claws, which he used to attack the young employee dressed up as a haunted British taxi. And sharp teeth, which he used to bite Garrett, Bobby Ferguson, and Mordecai. There is one thing these two share: fighting skill. Though not great, they have experience in defending themselves anywhere they end up against almost anyone they fight. They know basic punches, kicks, wrestling, stuff they see on video games or TV. But that basic stuff got nothing on the appropriately named Death Quan Du. There's the Death Punch of Death, powerful enough to crater the ground to the point of digging into the center of the earth. The punch is so powerful, it causes an energy pillar to explode at the point of impact, reaching high into the clouds. Mordecai and Rigby can pilot their own spaceships. They both were also given the power to be good at basketball by the god of basketball, which apparently supplies Dragon Ball Fist powers including increase in strength and flight at speeds high enough to pass Jupiter in a few seconds. With these powers, Mordecai flew down to Earth at re-entry speeds and dunked the ball so hard, he created an explosion that destroyed the park, which in overview takes up a city block. The energy needed to destroy a city block ranges from 11 to 100 tons. The latter equals to 4.18 for E plus 11 joules. The two possess powerful weapons such as the power, an electric keyboard that makes whatever the user says happen. It can summon anything out of thin air, make people do as the user commands, as long as it's in the form of a musical number. It's good for traveling, too, even across time. They also have the Fists of Justice, golden gauntlets forged by the Guardians of Enderal Youth. It's designed to defeat Corkbane. While originally meant for skips, his hands were broken thanks to Mordecai and Rigby. Thankfully, these gauntlets were designed with switches and buttons inside to control the gauntlet's actions. So how is anyone supposed to punch while having both these weapons on their hands? Both guys have feats of durability. Mordecai was able to survive a massive fall that involved cannonballing out of a helicopter flying above the clouds into a swimming pool. He ended up in a full-body cast for 6 weeks. But after that, he was perfectly fine. And you can't forget when he won a staring contest against a giant eyeball, not blinking the whole time for a whole afternoon. This staring contest takes place outside, where sensitive air, dust, and bugs can get in Mordecai's eyes. His eyes should be drying up from lack of moisture, resulting in blindness. But instead, he couldn't close his eyes. Despite being the weakest of the park members, Rigby has shown potential in great strength, such as when he completed a week of lifting heavy boxes with his bat. His final labor was emptying a truckload of boxes. One box contained iron sand, a type of sand with heavy concentrations of iron. It is composed mainly of magnetite, Fe3O4, and also contains small amounts of titanium, silica, manganese, calcium, and vanadium. Rigby also survived being punched by Skip, which was so hard, he had to be flown to the hospital by a helicopter. His left butt cheek was permanently fractured. There was also the time where his soul was separated from his body and the body was run over. After entering back into his body, he was hurt and put in a body cast, but he lived. Together, Mordecai and Rigby were able to withstand being transmuted and then blown back into a wall by antimatter, endured lifting a crate carrying radiation, and survived a rage blast attack from their boss, which sent them both about a dozen feet into the ground. Besides turning this, they remained pretty much unharmed outside of some scratches. After managing to continue working at the park for 6 years straight, somehow not getting fired, the duo separates to forge new paths, only returning 25 years later to honor a hefty, lollipop sacrifice made for the survival of their beloved park. Rigby was married and had a family whom he shared video games with, and Mordecai succeeded in the art world and finally found the right woman to settle down with. Despite their occasional fights and the chaos they shared, this Blue Jay and Raccoon will always remain best friends. In a world, there are colorful creatures that walk the world. They're called stick figures. With their colors come colorful personalities, the joyful but coprolalia diagnosed Lord Tourette's, a troll face named Jason. Remember when those were still popular? Then there's a Japanese raccoon. And then there's Blues and Clark, or Blue for short. Just a normal elementary student starting his first day at school. But just because he accidentally sat on the 5th grade seesaw, he was going to get a beat up. That is until a red asteroid from outer space crashed landed on the playground. Actually, this wasn't an asteroid. Rather an extraterrestrial being named Redward, or Red for short. And the first thing this guy does is beat up the whole group of 5th graders who bullied poor Blue. And from there, a new friendship was born. Or should I say more like a life of annoyance rather than a friendship. While living with Blue, all Red does is drink, have sex, host parties without permission, and doesn't even help to pay rent. In terms of combat, Blue has a degree in advanced joystick theory, meaning he can use his knowledge of fighting moves from video games to apply them in real life with varying degrees of success. Red was able to hold his own against numerous Takagami demons, which involved him snapping one's neck and ripping another's heart out. Blue also has magic, including a duplication spell and Lord Voldemort's killing spell, Avada Kedavra. And as the superhero sidekick, the Blozer, he can use Emo Ray, which is him shooting lightning from his hands. These bolts can manipulate an opponent's emotions to make them severely depressed, causing them to collapse into an uncontrollable fit of crying and sometimes explode from sheer sorrow. Though apparently, the effects don't work on people with low intelligence, because apparently stupid people don't have feelings. With Red being from space, Red has superhuman strength, able to effortlessly rip a man in half and lift up a whole factory by himself. While in prison, it's shown Red can bench press 20,000 pounds. When he was 8 years old, Red was also able to create a 971.78 centimeters crater when he first crash-landed on Earth. Given that this is blatant pulverization, creating this big of a crater requires 411,989 to 74,000 joules, which is 98 tons of TNT. Red is durable enough to be unharmed after jumping out of a helicopter without a parachute and falling through a building's roof, was unfazed by a knife lodged in his skull and cutting his own head in a bear trap. One time, Blue hurt his hand when he tried to punch Red. Red was the only person shown to be unaffected by Kitty Amazing, who caused anyone who looked at it to immediately die. Beyond strength and immunity, Red can fly, shoot lasers from his eyes and hands, and has a technique where he can make people's heads explode. His farts are highly flammable whenever he passes gas onto fire boom. While not as powerful as Red, Blue has impressive durability of his own, like surviving being shot at by arrows. Also, while his mind was swapped with Red's, his body was run over by a car, and he went to a job interview completely uninjured. They both can wield guns and shoot with high accuracy. They both have also used swords and rode laser shooting ships in space. Now Red is more extreme and more experienced in his usage of weapons compared to Blue, who has the intelligence to wield them with his joystick to his degree. Together, Red and Blue has been through crazy stuff like surviving shootouts, cut the head off a giant tortoise, and contributed both their energy into a high five to level 19 city blocks. The energy needed for this feat requires 100 to 5.8 kilotons of TNT, the latter equaling to 2.4267 to E plus 13 joules. And a toxic relationship must finish. The two dick figures separated to start families of their own, and thankfully, Red quit drinking, as they are now happy with their lives aside from the crazy adventures.
Wow, hey man, how you doing?
Good, man, good. Just dropped my daughter off at kindergarten.
Really? Me too. Wow, man, it's been ages.
Yeah, dude, great to see you. Wanna get some beer?
Nah, man, I don't drink anymore. But thanks.
Oh, okay. Well, wanna hang out?
Yeah, sure. What do you want to do?
We can just go watch some cartoons.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Alright, the fighters are ready as we have discussed their abilities and weaponry as it is time for this matchup to begin. Okay, there's going to be some controversy depending on who likes which duo. So let me explain. Compared to Red and Blue, Mordecai and Rigby has more experience with dealing with chaotic threats and work better in a team, coming up with strategies and having each other's backs. Red and Blue have dealt with chaos too, but these situations were short and rather small. Also, in terms of teamwork, Red and Blue most of the time worked well apart. Mostly to the fault of Red, who is easily distracted and more focused on violence and partying rather than Blue's situation. Like in the regular show movie, Rigby forged Mordecai's declined college application. But I can say that was out of a need to stay close to his friend. While in the Dick Figures movie, Red just beat those 5th graders up to impress the girls. He didn't give a crap about Blue. So they technically never been friends. Now comparing strength, both Mordecai and Rigby are on town level with Def Quan Du, while Red and Blue are both multi-city block level when they level 19 city blocks with a high 5. But that requires them to slap hands. Also, did we not mention that Red and Blue have died in their show? Red has died 6 times and Blue has died 7 times. And one of their deaths, including Red's, involved being crushed. Mordecai and Rigby have survived all their episodes. So there's extra points for experience in survival. In Arsenal, Red and Blue had the firepower and basic martial arts with a little violence sprinkled. Though the people they have fought were just normal stick people who didn't have powerful martial arts such as Def Quan Du. Blue's emo ray could be used here. But Mordecai and Rigby are constantly shown to do the most idiotic and incompetent things at work, so they can be classified as stupid, which the emo ray doesn't work on. Even if Red's charged laser and Blue's Avada Kedavra could erase either Mordecai or Rigby, either one of them could just summon the back to life or go back in time with the power. So it didn't matter strength or weapons, really. It mattered which duo was smarter and reliant on each other, in which that was Mordecai and Rigby. And it just looks like these dudes just made the sticks suck a dick figure. And so the winners are Mordecai and Rigby. Next time on Cross-Fighting Melee.
Everybody needs a little song. I'm sorry. You did deserve first place.
Goes away. Feeling of not being